Are we go time? We are go time. Yay! Brilliant. Okay, and welcome back to Taylor Aerospace. My attempt to, well, conquer the known solar system, Kerbal system. And to do this, I'm going to do my next mission. I've got a couple of different things available at the moment. I honestly don't know how to do these. Like, I don't know how to do this. Because I can't get the tank into the... I don't know. I don't know how to do this one either. Yeah. So, I've got time on these. Several years, I suppose. So, what I'd really like to achieve today is the flyby of Eve, because it will make me a lot of money. Then the geosynchronous, I should say, orbit here, because again, make me a reasonable amount of cash, and I don't want to lose it. So, I've been thinking about this, and it would be very possible for me right now to send. I'm going to go Eve, by the way. That's my plan today. It would be. Yeah, sorry, I've just been messing around with a couple of ships before I came on stream. It would be very easy for me to send my Munminma ship. It's easily got enough Delta V, particularly if I actually change it to what I have been using, the proper one. I've got some mainsail engines on it. It makes it a lot more efficient, frankly. So yeah, that could get there. That could easily do a flyby of Eve if I could take all three of my Kerbals as well. But then I thought I could send a probe. That's what you do in real life, isn't it? That's what you do before you send a mission. But then I'm weighing up about science. You're not going to get much science from that. So, I don't know. I don't know. What do you think? Can we do a manned return? I mean, what actually is it? Do we have to come back from Eve? No, it's just... we have to fly near and recover science. That's all we have to do. That's all that needs to be done. So... I am going to send a probe. Cancel that. Let's save this. I keep having to change the bottom out on this. So if we go probe, this is what I've been using for just the various different things that we've been up against at the moment. It hasn't got a remote guidance system in it, which would frankly probably be the best. I could always use this drone core. It's a bit too big. It's basically alright as is. It's not going to get me there though, so what I'm going to do... You know what, should I just send the Kerbals? Because you're going to need quite a lot to get there. So well, let's try. It's the getting back that's the problem. If I send my Kerbals, it's the getting back that scrapes me a little bit. That's what I worry about. That is what I worry about. And also just the extremely long burn time to get to Eve is going to be problematic as well. So I think let's get rid of that. I like this setup. We've got the big relay dish on top. We've got all of the science we could want. Actually, I can, if we're heading all of this way, attach one of these as well. There you go. Okay, so should we do a fairing then over this? Okay, there we go. Nice little fairing. Now, to get to Eve, this is going to have to be a reasonably big ship. Unless... we do this. Let's pull them down a little bit. There we go. Let's give them a little bit of that. And a little bit of that. I'm just costing so far a lot. But you know, we are going to Eve, so we're stuck. An atomic rocket engine on it. How does that sound? To me, that sounds pretty solid. Right. So, let's pull that out. Because honestly, this entire thing is going to need to be kept under a fairing. So let's get the big one. Okay, let's reattach that. Sweet. Now, this has already got your doodads up here, so all we need now is a reasonably powerful base. It is a fairly light payload, even the whole thing only weighs sort of 53 tons. So yeah, it's not that. Because all we need to do is get this section into orbit. Once that's done, we're good. So let's go real big. So I can chuck that on, and let's give that a skipper engine. Another coupler, and let's give the jumbo. Now I don't think we need much more than this, to be honest. I really don't. If we give that a mainsail, you know, we're already looking at nearly 5,000. You know, actually, I wonder whether that would be okay on its own. I do. Like, this is going to be slow. Like, the upper layer is not going to be. It's not going to be fast. I can tell you that right now. But it'll do the job, I think. It's getting it there. It will do the job. Okay, let's try it. Let's try it, shall we? Structural. Is there anything we can add struts to? Yes. Oh god, yes. Very nice. Right, okay. And we will actually, just in case, add that too, just drop it all together and use these. Let's bring the entire craft down a little bit, shall we? Okay, that's a bit better. Now, just for the sake of, honestly, this is just really, really petty aesthetics. I prefer it like that. We are actually going to have to give this some form of wing. Structural wing B is huge. You got the winglet, bigger winglet. Got Delta Deluxe wing, it's pretty good. Yeah, I'll probably go with that because it has ailerons on it as well. I also don't know if that's pronounced correctly. Deal with it. Okay, so yeah, I think that might legitimately be alright. Let's launch. Let's see what it does. Oh, I'll tell you what we're going to need to do first. Let's revert this to the assembly. Let's call it what it is. Eve probe. Because, you know, in fairness, we need to be careful for these little Kerbal guys. We don't know what's around Eve, do we? We don't know what Eve's made of. I think we're roughly aware it has an atmosphere. But that's it. Scary times. Scary times, my friend. Why do we have so much? Okay, I'm going to turn off probes. Deployed science. We don't need the unknowns right now. We don't need the relays either. Where's Members? Okay. So you've got the Kerbal National Space Station. There's the geostationary orbit, by the way, that I've picked up. That shouldn't be too hard. Right, so yeah, the reason we're here, the problem is Eve. It's currently on the almost entirely opposite side of the Sun. Not acceptable. We speed up. We have to do this. You need the proper escape window where you've got sort of a very fine window of time that you can actually reach it. I mean, that in theory is not true. You can reach it from pretty much anywhere, assuming you have enough fuel. I often do, particularly on my return from places like Duna. If I'm at a slightly, well, shall we say, not advantageous angle of return, because I massively, as you've seen, over-engineer my ships, it doesn't really matter, because I've got so much fuel I can just punch it, aim for home, and I can get home. If I mess around hard enough with the manoeuvre nodes and whatnot, I can get home. Right, okay, let's get a bit more technical then. So as long as we're focused on the Sun, we do it. This is how I do it anyway. Put Kerb in at 3 o'clock, and then roughly Eve. It's not quite there yet. It needs to be pointing at about 5 o'clock. That's the interesting thing about space travel, isn't it? You don't point at where you want to go. That's about correct. That should be fine. Yeah, you point at where you're going to be in... Yeah. I'm also just going to go quickly back to my own science vessel on Mimus, because this should have been maxed out with science now. This is exactly why I do this. Do we have a connection? Okay. Yes, look at that. 500 science. Ready to go. Now, I'll speed this up a little bit. Just take a while to get that data across. There we go. So there's 498 science added to my R&D. This was pretty amazing. You know, they've still got another. That was 100 data. They've still got 600 data to work through. And not just that, but I then have even more to give them. Keep that. Keep that. Keep that. Are any of these? That can fit. Let's give them that. So, there you go. Sweet. Right, we'll go back to the Space Centre. This will get me quite a lot of science, so I'm not too bothered about going to my R&D just yet. I'll go to that in a minute. So, what we want is our Eve probe, and we'll launch. So now it makes all that at the correct angle. You know, if we ever have to revert the flight, because sometimes what I've done before is I've gone to launch. It's not the right thing. You go to the tracking station from the flight, and then you revert the flight, and you're months and months behind. So we'll do this now. Ooh, that base thrust weight is not that high. I'm going to pass on whether this actually can do this, but we'll see, we'll see. I may have needed a couple of boosters on the side just to get it moving in the early parts of the atmosphere. Solid rocket could have done that, to be fair. Yeah, it doesn't move too easily either. It's quite wobbly. Yeah, okay, so this isn't going to work. It just doesn't have the... It has got delta V, but I can't forget, you know, it's not just delta V, is it, that you need? That's fine. Let's stick a couple of these on. The question is, do we go for some solid rocket boosters? Yeah, I have the kickback. Okay. Max thrust 600. I could do the thoroughbred. Wow, those things are huge. This is what I like about these though, they're not even that expensive. Let's get some aero on that. Way too small. Where's my big nose cone? There you go. Again, let's just structurally get all this linked together. Okay, it's done that now. I know some people get annoyed when you do that, because obviously you cannot do that in real life. You can't put stuff through like that. Oh, actually, if I'm doing solid rocket, he probably doesn't need to go off at the same time. Yeah, this should just give us a much higher thrust to weight ratio. Much higher. And what I am going to do... Just move that. Take that off for a sec. I'm going to add a couple of these I think just it will help. You know, since this rocket is going to rely almost entirely on electricity, it's going to need that extra thrust. Extra electric power, sorry. It just means as well that if the solar panels are damaged or whatever, it generally just makes it kind of a good craft to get anywhere. Like honestly, with a craft like that, I would probably take something like that to do now, like manned. To be honest. Right. Let's go. Oh, okay, so I thought they'd be quicker. We'll chuck the middle one in as well, just to get us started. I'll turn it down, because these have got a lot of fuel. Hell of a lot of fuel. But they have a gimbal as well. I didn't know there were any solid rockets with gimbals. That's good, means we can move a little bit. But yeah, they've got a lot of fuel, man, and they will, as you can see, they're building up quick. Very quick. They take their time to burn as well. And in fairness, this is what we needed. We weren't using these to get sort of all the way up into orbital, or even up to orbital height. They were just there to punch us through the earlier and thicker parts of the atmosphere, which is, I would say, exactly what they've done. We're now at the parts of the atmosphere where there's not that much resistance. We can nuke them like that, slowly fire off, and there we go. Now we can use this, which has got a much lower thrust to weight ratio. And now that we don't need so much thrust power, I think that's not too bad. Now, I'm still not entirely convinced that this was the most efficient or effective way to get this thing up into the air. Probably wasn't. I've probably made some more professional YouTubers look a lot more silly. Yeah, they're probably not very happy with what I've made here, but never mind. Okay, I'm going to flatten out now. Well, I've only got 200 odd left of this. I'll use that just to make myself go sideways a little bit more. Yeah, so optimally, the 300 or so here could be used to get you into a proper orbit. Unfortunately, because my orbit wasn't great. Oh, I've still got that annoying setting on. Yeah, because my orbit wasn't great, I've had to do it this way. Which is just not the best, particularly with that thermal engine. The nuclear engine, sorry. It's just not the best. I haven't gained quite a lot of height here either. Now let's fast forward. So I'm not entirely sure this is going to go well. This is not a very efficient engine for a not very efficient rocket. Yeah, so this is claiming now that this is going to take minutes. Although something I will say, now that we're actually in space, is this thing is way over-engineered. 12,000 meters a second to delta V. We do not need anything anywhere near this large. No wonder I'm suggesting you could easily use this as a mothership. You slap a converter on the top of it. Yeah, man, if you slap a converter on the top of that, make it to a sort of one of these, to be honest. Because only the size of this, I could easily be like a little move that over there. Let's just slap that on that for a moment. Yeah, so if you had a little converter on there, put that on, you could have yourself a little mothership, like for the like an Apollo style thing, which I will do. That's really nice. Okay, fine. We don't need this though at all. I don't think we need these side boosters. I think, honestly, that will be fine. Yeah, see, that's the thing with the nuclear engine. They are incredibly efficient. Insanely, and I do mean insanely efficient. You'll see, but I think their efficiency is something like 800 compared to sort of the 300 of other engines. Yeah, but your downside is they have almost no thrust power. They're very, very slow. Which honestly is fine. When you're doing interplanetary missions, you don't need speed like that. Like, it can be useful. It can be useful, and I've definitely made missions where I don't use the nerve engine. Yeah, it's just useful. It's a very, very useful thing to have. Now all we want to do is get a little probe around Eve. That's it. I'm going to do space high above Eve, I think. Space low above Eve I will reserve for when I actually take a manned mission, which will probably be a while, I imagine. Like, that's a manned mission to Eve, and a lot of people, I've heard several people refer to Eve as the final boss of Kerbal Space Program, you know. Well, this one badly. Can I salvage it? Can he salvage it? Mostly. Can't believe I managed to pull that off. I lost quite a bit there, I imagine, but never mind. This is much lighter craft than it was previously. You see, yeah, this midsection now has got 1,000 delta V in it, rather than the 300 or 400 it had previously. Even this is, that's, you know, I've made this craft like 20% of what it used to be. Most of that weight was in liquid fuel. But yeah, it's Eve is difficult. Eve is hard. Landing on it is hard because the atmosphere is so thick, that everything just gets ripped apart if it's not balanced correctly, or, you know, obviously heat shields. And then taken off, you know, it's got, I believe, I'm right in saying this. It's got the highest gravity of, other than the Sun or Joule, of any planet in the Kerbal system. Yeah, so it's got that. But then you've also got. Hang on a sec. But then yeah, because the atmosphere is so thick, like was it Tylo? I think it is Tylo, the moon of Joule, also has an extremely strong gravity well, but it has no atmosphere. So as long as, basically, if you've got enough power, it will get the job done. But on good old Eve, getting the job done just isn't enough. You need to have something that's streamlined, that can actually punch through the atmosphere. And because the atmosphere is so thick, the drag it creates on anything that is even remotely unaerodynamic will absolutely tear you apart. Now, other places with thick atmospheres, not like Dune or anything, but like Lathe, also has a similar problem, but it's more like Kerbin, where you don't have to worry about it so much. And also, landing on Lathe is a lot easier because you just parachutes. As long as you don't land in the sea, unless you're going for some sort of aquatic mission, just land in the. Just use parachutes. It's genuinely that easy. Anyway, right, let's set Eve as our target then. So, what we want to do is come off this way. On the side of Kerbin that's facing the sun. That will, even though we're going prograde, that brings our orbit in and matches Eve's orbit. Okay, so now we're quite actually far off on that. We're not as far as much as I'd like there. Normally, oh, there we go. I was going to say, normally I can just score myself a little orbit there. Okay, so if we do that, we go on here, we can see. Okay, we've gone, so if we pull in a bit more. Too much, but never mind. So now the separation is well off. And something you need to understand here as well is, as long as you can get an encounter, that's all that matters at this stage. That is genuinely all that matters. Because what you can do is when you actually get into space, is when you actually get into space, you can then just adjust it a little bit more, you know? You can be just that extra little bit careful with it. Now let's pull it in. Why aren't we... How far off are we here? Okay. Is it because my inclination... Oh, my inclination's way off. Right, I need to try and fix this. Because I think that's what's causing our issue. I also have no reaction wheels in this. So it can't actually move. That's... I'll tell you what. I'm going to revert that because it needs some reaction wheels. Otherwise it's going to be a nightmare. let's take the probe core. It has a few extra features that I like being able to point at the marker itself. There you go. It looks a bit unseemly, but it'll do the job, and this is what we need. Command and control. So let's put a large reaction wheel under there, and then a medium one under that. There we go. Okay, I think we're looking good. So, see, this is what Kerbal is, though. It's sending stuff up. You watch all these YouTubers and you think, oh gosh, how did they do that? Well, the same way you do it, the same way I'm doing it. They try, they fail, they keep trying. Now, sometimes the failures are spectacular. I'll admit that. Other times, the failures are more like mine, where it's just like, oh, I forgot to put some reaction wheels on. Right, okay, let's go change that. And it can be irritating, because you've got to go back and do it again and again and again. But that's what Kerbal is. It's what Kerbal's always been. Patience. Trial and error all the time. It's tough. But you know, it's doable. And I'm very serious. If I can do it, all of you can. All of you can. By getting a lot of help from YouTubers. Very specifically for me, I found Matt Lown the most helpful. Just because I liked his style more than anything, and the way he did things. It's just, yeah. So you will notice that a lot of my ships look very Matt Lowney in their design. If they're going to, you know, if you're designing something to go to Eve or to go to Duna, unless you're purposely trying to do something weird or a specific design, there's generally sort of only a few ways that can look. Because particularly Eve, you know, unless you are going, oh no, damn it, I didn't mean to do that. Unless you are going for something really super strange, they're going to look mostly the same. But yeah, a lot of my designs will look very Matt Lowney in their presentation. I'll admit, you know, I've managed to land. I started playing this game a long time ago. I think I've got about 500 hours in it now. A couple of hundred hours on the console version. That's where I started. Unfortunately, I couldn't afford a PC at the time. Yeah, and I've got about 300 hours now, I think, on the Steam version. So yeah, that's how. You know, I remember I purposely cloistered myself off from going to Eve, or watching any videos about it, other than the really, you know, completely insane ones like, you know, huge SSTO missions or sending aquatic bases and silly rovers and stuff. Because I wanted to do it myself. I wanted to be able to make a manned mission to Eve on my own. God, we've gone again. This thing's over-engineered enough it can suffer this damage. It just needs to move its own axis later on if it manages to survive. Okay, we're back here. Yeah, so that's what you do. You keep trying. You know, when I tried to go to Eve that first time, don't blow my stuff up, please. Yeah, so when I tried to go to Eve that first time, though, it was a nightmare. Getting there, as I said, getting there is really not that tough. The tough part is getting back. So I did. And I kept doing that, and I kept doing that, and I kept doing it. And I kept trying and trying and trying and trying, and, you know, I would solve one problem only to create another, or I'd solve one problem and suddenly go, right, now I can land. That's what eventually happened. I was like, okay, I've managed to actually get through the atmosphere and land. Great. Now what? Oh, okay, now I can... How do I move? How do I get up? How do I get away from all of this? That's what got me. And then after about 5 weeks, and I do mean 5 weeks of every single day, like I'm streaming every single day for like 4 or 5 hours a day, I gave up. I gave up and I watched Matt Lowndes' Aerospace video. And I effectively, at that point, I was so sick of it, I effectively just copy-pasted his craft. Made it myself, like I sort of followed along with his video so I could see what was going on. I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think he presents craft files for his Lowndes Aerospace. Because he's right in that it's better, even if you use his design, to follow along with the building. Because I think you inherently understand why things are built the way they're built better. If that happens, if you follow yourself along, you know? So, yeah, I mean, I will say, what I already had was very, very close to what he was using. Very close to what he actually ended up using. So, I was quite proud of myself. I was quite proud of myself, to be fair. Because I think if I'd given it an extra week, I would have got there. Like, what I had was so close already to what he was using. Yeah, I was pretty proud of myself, to be fair, on that one. Okay, now I can turn a little bit better. And what's my inclination now? Fine. Yeah. And, you know, some of my other ships, I've sort of looked at his design and gone, that's cool, and built it myself. But because, again, I've used his design, something very similar at least, it's the same. Now, can I, if I go there... Okay. So this line, by the way, is now assuming that I've made that other maneuver node out in space. So if we check the approach distance, there you go, you can move your cursor like this. So you're using the planet itself to help you form. That went wrong there. Okay, so let's try here. See what I mean? Though you don't actually need that much to get there. You need what, like 800 to get to the moon? Okay, I'll take that to its lowest orbit. Oh, I definitely don't need that much. Although I do have a lot, and this isn't coming back. So this is what I mean about this is not the perfect orbit. But I've got so much fuel that if I want, I can just force an encounter. Okay, so that's about as close as I'm going to get on that. That's too far. What about this? One of these should lower it pretty quickly. I'm guessing it's this one. Oops, a daisy. But yeah, I mean, you can see it getting closer. You can see it getting closer. So, back there. I will admit, I'm not sure why I'm struggling so much on this. There we go. So let me just focus view on that. There you go. So yeah, that's quite a nice entry point. Let's get it a bit wider. I mean, you can see it's off, obviously. But yeah, so if we set our maneuver node, fast forward to it. Luckily, because I've got so much of that, this isn't going to take too long either. But I mean, you can see this is a 2-minute burn. It's a very, very long burn. And this isn't quite a light craft as well. I'll speed this up, because again, this is a very long burn. Even on ×4 speed, you're still looking at like a 45-second burn here. There we go. We'll zoom out. But yeah, I mean, this is what the engine's good for, though. Yeah, ISP 800. It has insane levels. I mean, look, we've got like 5,000 delta V here, and we're not. You know. Okay, there we go. We've got our approach. Yeah, this thing's so over-engineered. You know, that could have been made like 2 of these shorter. I mean, yeah, it's not even used 1. It probably could have been 2 of these rather than 4. But what it does show you how powerful that sort of an engine is as well. I mean, this is a horrible orbit, but it gets us what we want. So we'll keep going. We need to go at quite a high speed here. And then when we are in the depths of space, so add a maneuver node. So about there, I think. We can focus view. Okay, and now we can start trying to be a little bit more with what we want. So I want to get this into an equatorial orbit, quite far out as well. Like, I want this to be a relay. So what have we got there? 2 million. I would be happy with 2 million. Reasonably flat. It's about as much as we're going to get. So So fast forward to there. And you see how much difference we can make, and it's only going to cost us 16 meters a second. This is what happens when you're in interplanetary space. Now, the good thing is, when you are in interplanetary space, you don't have to be particularly... Like, I do not have to wait for the next 45 minutes. I can burn now. It will not make a difference. Actually... Oh, can I just point out how perfect that was? Yeah, actually, looking at this, this could have very, very easily gotten us home as well. This is where a lot of the comes in. It's going to cost us 2,000 Delta V to stop. That's your difficulty when you come to somewhere like Eve. Put that out a little bit because I want to sit at, like I say, roughly 2 million meters out. Okay, so we can fast forward to that, but we're going to do it from this angle. I'm going to do it not in map mode. Oh, look how much bigger the sun looks here. Hello, Eve. It's quite a pretty planet, I think, personally. Actually, I think Eve's probably one of my favourite planets. Just I find it a very interesting place to visit. I remember I landed a one of the rovers I landed on Eve anyway. Was I just drove around for a while trying to find all the different things. Like there's some volcanic stuff that you can find, which is quite interesting. Yeah, I just quite like it. So we are high over. Oh, high over Eve's Crater Lake. You specifically get that. Is that just on the Gravioli? Yeah, it's just high over space. I mean, I'm being a bit of an idiot. I should actually be sending this home. Transmit that. Transmit that. What gravity data? We'll transmit that. We'll run this report. Transmit. Big report. I got us a lot. I could have stuck a Science Junior unit on this. I didn't. It also doesn't look like I've added any mystery goo units either. Kind of unfortunate. But that just leaves me some more science to get later. I mean, you can also see, by the way, on this, I do need to do this because this is a 5-minute burn to try and slow down. Okay, flyby of Eve is complete. I'll do the geostationary orbit next, I think, and then I'm going to try and finally get a working rover. I did do that yesterday, but it didn't really work, and I'm just going to try and land in a different place. Like, it won't take too long to find this stuff. I'm going to try and build a different delivery system as well, something more akin to what they actually did on Mars, without the parachute or the heat shield. I just use like a sky craney sort of setup. If that makes sense. Boom. That's about perfect for me. That's what I want. Okay, my inclination is way off, so... Right, there we go. I mean, I've got plenty of Delta V, so... Let's give myself a perfect little orbit here, shall we? That'd be quite nice, I think. I'll get myself back to 2 million as well. I was going to dump this, but I'm actually going to keep it. I'm going to keep it. I think it could help. So I have an Eve relay anyway. That's cool. So, out of pure interest, how much would it cost me to get out of here? Not much. Not much. 1,000. Oh, could I? Is that something I could pull off? I mean, not at the current angle, I couldn't. Oh! I am being visited by the happy lunchtime hand once again. And that, I would argue, is perfect timing, since I just completed my mission there. Beautiful! And that is our first ever visit to Eve on our Taylor Aerospace playthrough. It'll be a while before we're coming back. But, yeah, awesome. Okay, let's save this then as Taylor Aerospace. Yeah, we'll overwrite that. And we'll go back to the Space Center. And yeah, so I'll be stopping the stream now. I'll end the stream now. And I'll be back on later this afternoon with some of the other missions I talked about. Hopefully doing and hopefully completing. So I will see you later and stay safe.